Joined by U.S. Open champion J.J. Spaun. First question for you, J.J., beyond congratulations, which isn't really a question, is how is your daughter feeling?
Oh, she's on the mend. About 24 hours of a fluid kind of got her back into good shape, and she's able to hold down some food now. And so we're not having a fussy 2-year-old on our hands anymore.
I guess I should explain this for those of you that don't know. JJ had to wake up at 3 in the morning before his final round to go to CVS because his daughter had a stomach bug. Here's my question on that front, JJ, is what is the conversation like between you and your wife 5 minutes before you actually get out the door to go to CVS at 3 in the morning on the knowing that you're like, okay, this is not the night that I had planned before the final round of the US Open.
Totally. It was, one of those things that life just throws at you. It was Father's Day. That's my duty to kind of take care of my family and be there for them. But all I was thinking was I felt terrible for my little girl. She's just vomiting all night, can't hold any fluids down. She's crying for water. We know if we give her water, she's just gonna keep, having to come up. So, yeah, I was just trying to make her feel as comfortable as possible. And I wasn't even thinking about my round or what was coming up in the next, 12 hours or so. And just kind of dad instincts kept kicked in. And, I was just trying to be there for my girls.
We're CNBC, so I feel like I have to ask you this. $4.3 million, that was the prize package for first place for the U.S. Open. What are you going to buy with the money?
Um, I don't know. I've kind of gone through the phase of incentivizing and rewarding myself. I'm a little older, so now I just kind of want to take care of my family and spend time with them. That's kind of more of the reward as far as something material is just being able to spend time with them. My wife and I and our kids, we like to travel to the UK during the off season and visit the Cotswolds. And my wife's dream has always been to have a nice cottage out there. And it was actually funny this year. She said, if you win a major, will you maybe buy me a little cottage in the Cotswolds? And I was just like, sure, my odds to win a major, they're okay, but it's not most likely going to happen anytime soon. At least I thought at the time. So she's definitely taking me up on that deal now.
All right, well, look, you led right into it, so let me ask you this. Previously to this major, your best result in a major was tied for 23rd, I believe, at the 2022 Masters. So why now? Why Oakmont? Why this tournament for you?
I'm not sure exactly, but um, I think this year has gone so well for me. My game has been in the best shape it's been my entire career. I'm 34 years old now. I'm not a rookie anymore. This is my ninth season on the PGA Tour, so I think I'm older and wiser. I've kind of gone through everything that you can go through as far as golf related things. So I'm just kind of learning from experience and getting more comfortable. I've had a lot of close calls this season, and Oakmont's a great course for me. You got to hit it straight. I mean, every U.S. Open you kind of have to do that, but I don't know. I think it was just my time. There were so many crazy coincidences with the timing of this championship that kind of ended up leading into my favor.
Let's talk about the final round itself, and maybe how you deal with nerves, because beyond having to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you obviously got off to a rocky start, bogeying 5 out of the first 6 holes. Do you feel like that was nerves related? And is it possible that having that start and then having the rain delay, something clicked into you where you kind of got it out of your system?
Exactly. I was definitely nervous. I don't want to say entirely that start was due to nerves, but definitely the first hole was a nerve-wracking kind of start. But I tried to settle down on the second hole, hit 2 really good shots that kind of got unfortunate bounces that kind of led to another bogey that was almost more like a 2-shot swing. And at that point, you start thinking like, what do I have to do? I mean, I hit 2 perfect shots and didn't get rewarded. I got kind of some unlucky bounces.
The one off the flag stick was ridiculous. I mean,
Right.
that is as unlucky as I've ever seen in a tournament.
That's what I'm alluding to. I mean, here I am. I've done so well bouncing back from bogeys during the U.S. Open by making a birdie or a really good par. And, I birdie the first hole, and here I go right down the middle on two, perfect club in, hit the shot exactly how I wanted to. One hops into the stick and spins all the way down off the green, which is the second worst place to be on that hole. And, I was just thinking, how am I going to make a par today? And, it felt like I wasn't going to make a par, for a while there on the front nine.
The PGA Tour has a new CEO, Brian Rowlap. That announcement made official just a while ago now. I'm curious, when Brian eventually sits down with you and speaks to you, what are one or two things that you have in your mind that you'd like to tell him about ways the PGA Tour can change for the better?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian is going to be a great addition to the PGA Tour. Coming from an arena that is so large in the NFL, he's going to have all the talent in the world in the PGA Tour, and his expertise is to showcase that to the world and grow the game. And I think we're super excited to have a fresh perspective, a fresh outlook, and a bright future for the PGA Tour. And I could not be more excited to have Brian along this journey with us.
One of the changes that was made recently to the PGA Tour, which will kick in next year, is this sort of limitation on certain tournament field sizes and qualifications becoming a little bit more strict among all players on the PGA Tour for exemptions for certain tournaments. Is that good for the game, sort of narrowing the overall fields?
It's good overall for the product. It's maybe disappointing that the line is so thin on the PGA Tour between the 125th guy to the top 10. I was that guy the last 3 years. Kind of grinding just inside the top 100. So that goes to show that any player on the PGA Tour can turn things around, or things can happen so quickly and end up having the success that I've had this season. So I think overall it's a great product. Unfortunately, there's so many great players, but I understand what the tour is trying to do to create such a strong product and make things a lot more competitive. And for me personally, that was a concern going into this year. I barely snuck in the top 100 on the FedEx Cup last year, so I knew I had to get my butt in gear, and maybe that's what I needed, kind of not to be so soft on myself and have my back against the wall. And here I am, having the greatest season of my life and winning the US Open.
Obviously, winning the U.S. Open will open a lot of doors for you. Let's talk about TGL. Is that something that is appealing to you at all?
Totally. I enjoyed watching the first season of it. Looks so much fun. I know all the guys that play on that league, and they look like they have a blast, and it's super competitive. It's a great product that's, bringing in a new crowd of fans, a new generation, I feel like. And, simulators technology, that's kind of in everyone's, pocket these days. And, I'm excited if, that ends up being in my future. We'll see. But yeah, I think it's a great product, and, it's launching well.
Justin Thomas put out that manifesto earlier this year about how all these PGA Tour golfers should be mic'd up and should be more accessible with fans. The conversation should be more open. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, totally. I think there's so many different types of guys and players that you see on tour, and usually you only hear and see about 10% of them, as far as approachability and the exposure. But I think, with Netflix kind of jumping on board and showing kind of a huge landscape of different golfers and what they go through, and their avenues to success, it's kind of grown like a hunger for the fans to see more. And I think what JT was saying was to be more available and give the crowds, more access into what actually happens and on the inside for us as players. So I think it's a good thing. It's not going to hurt us. It's only going to help grow our game more and grow our outreach.
The other sort of macro issue that hovers over the PGA Tour, of course, is this continuing divide between the LIV Tour and the PGA. And I'm curious at this stage in the game, because we're a little bit deep into it, like, do you feel like there's still kind of a palpable divide among the players between the players that are on the LIV Tour and the PGA Tour?
I don't think anything like personally. I'm a member at a club with a bunch of live guys. I'm good friends with one player. We miss them surely. We all want to play together at some point. At least we get to do it, four times a year at majors. But it's a tough situation. We're trying to mend that to kind of have everyone get together and give give the world, the best sort of addition of professional golf in the game. So, hopefully we can fix things and get everyone back together soon.
Last question, JJ. And this one relates to your own sort of health story. Like, obviously you struggled with sort of a misdiagnosis of diabetes, lost a lot of weight, have gained it since. And I'm curious now, where you are physically, if you feel like that journey has helped you get to the level of golf that you are playing currently.
That was kind of a rough, spot in my career, not just golf wise, but in my life, to where, I was going through a lot of physical issues, feeling tired, always, achy, and more importantly, like losing weight unexplainably. So kind of being misdiagnosed was not the ideal treatment at the start, and then finally seeing specialists, 3 years later to get me on the right, therapy to get back to my old self and get me back on track for what I needed in my career was huge. But I think mentally it kind of showed me that I can persevere through all the toughest things that life has thrown at me. And, those are the experiences that I leaned on this week at the US Open and kind of all season long, where I've been in spots where I feel like, the pressure is really on. Can I do this? Do I doubt myself? But I go back to those life experiences and said, you've gone through worse than this. It's just golf. If this isn't your time will come, but just keep putting yourself in the position to play successfully, and in one of these days it'll pay off.
JJ, I'll let you get on Zillow so you can find you and your wife a nice cottage in the UK.
Thank you so much, Alex.